into Paris, into Paris. Now, the Paris region has set ambitious goals to drastically reduce air pollution and congestion. The strategy is to invest heavily in mass transit, achieve mobility in cleaner vehicles. To discuss this topic on this roundtable discussion, powered by Choose Paris Region, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Romain Gagné, Head of Mobility for Choose Paris Region, and Nina Guise, Chief Marketing Officer, Vive la Gare, and also Guillaume Bourdin-Cosset, Sales Engineer at Swarmy. So please do come up onto the stage. I believe we're going to give this a bit of a keynote first. I'll then take over. I'll just pass you a microphone, and then we'll start the panel afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, and it's a real pleasure to be here in the beautiful city of Berlin. Let me thanks again the Autonomy Team organization for the fantastic preparation and organization of the event. My name is Romain Gagné. I work for Choose Paris Region, so you already had a flavor with my colleague Francesco this morning, but we are a non-profit organization, and we support companies that want to set up or expand activities in the Paris region. I know that I'm the last presentation before the lunch break, so I kind of feel the pressure on my shoulder. So but don't be afraid. I just wanted to invite you to a short trip, again by train, to Paris. I hope it's going to be short and very interesting. So we'll do a 10-minute keynote, and then I have the pleasure to discuss with Nina from Vive la Gare and from Guillaume from Swarby. And again, thank you for accepting the invitation to the panel session. So I'll start by a quiz, because I like quiz. And so, 3 questions. The first question is, do you know the density of population in Paris? So, again, I apologize, I didn't bring any champagne bottles, so there is nothing to win. Perhaps a fast track to the lunch. I don't know if we have to see that with Caroline. But again, so we have 3 propositions. I don't know if the first one is more than 10,000 inhabitants per square kilometers. Second one is more than 15, and the last one is more than 21 inhabitants per square kilometer. So I don't know, who wants to take the one? Raise your hand on the first proposition. Second proposition, who wants to raise your hand first? Yeah, 1, 2, yeah, not bad. And the last one? Yeah. So you've done your homework, congratulations. I'm very proud of you. You want to win the fast track access to the lunch, I guess. So yeah, one of the main reasons is that we have the size of the city is very small compared to Berlin or London. So that's why we have a huge concentration of inhabitants, and that makes a lot of changes for the mobility of the mobility. So the second question, it's kind of easy because my colleague Francesco gave you the number earlier. But how many daily trips in the Paris region? So again, who wants to the first answer? Raise your hand. 20 million daily trips. Okay. 30 million daily trips. Okay, very good. And the last one, 40 million daily trips. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right again. Congratulations. So, if we look at the split between the mode, 1/3 is by walk. The first mode is by walking in the Paris region. The second mode is by cars, and the third mode is by public transportation. So 1/3 by walk, 1/3 by public transit, no, by car, sorry, and 1/4 by public transport. So. This is an impressive figures, and yeah, we better have train on time. And the last question is about something that we heard a lot this morning about single car occupancy rates. But again, do you know the percentage of the number of passenger per cars in Paris? So again, I don't know, who wants to take the first one, 1.1? Okay, good. The second one, 1.2? Or 1.5, sorry. And the last one, 2.1. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Corona, you have a lot of winners from the fast track access to the lunch. But yeah, that's the figures 1.1, and it's clearly not enough. And this is what we are fighting in the Paris region to get more people on the car, to share car, to have new mode of transport. So the question is how to reduce drastically air pollution and congestion. I have two pictures, but it doesn't show up. But we see the Eiffel Tower with the fog. And the other portion is more like congestion on the road, but we also have congestion on the trains. Some lines, especially in Paris, line 13, are overcrowded. So this is something we are fighting. So what are the answers? We mentioned earlier the three parts of the answers, but the first one is continuing actively investing in public transit. My colleague Francesco already mentioned the Grand Paris Express, which will double the size of the metro lines and the 68 new train station. The goal is really to, in Paris, in the Paris region, we have a star network. So if you live in the east of the region and you work in the south, you have to commute in Paris. So the goal is to have a more ring road to rely the first suburb, the second suburbs in Paris. So we are waiting. This is a long-term project starting maybe 10 years ago, and we will have the first line by the Olympics for 2025. The third point is that we mentioned that cleaner mobility, so mainly electric or cleaner natural gases option. We are not focused only on one specific solution. What I want to highlight is that it's already mentioned by Francesco this morning, that we want to ban all diesel and petroleum car by 2025, 2030. And we mentioned the buses, the whole fleet of buses, 5,000 in Paris and 10,000 in the Paris region, will switch from diesel to electric, but also to natural gases, which are very promising for us. We mentioned the incentive and the public charging infrastructure also. We want to triple that for giving access to the charging infrastructure for Parisian. And I'm sorry about the presentation, but it has to be a picture of the Champs-Élysées where you see people walking, cycling, and it's every Sunday, one Sunday per month, the first Sunday in Paris. Some streets are closed for car-free day. So if I strongly invite you to come in Paris on the first week of a month and enjoy the time cycling. So the objective is to develop bike, and especially bypass and parking in the Paris region. Karen, you mentioned the RER Vélo, which is an important project, but we also have local authorities and the regional authorities that are pushing a lot on developing bikes. And I guess from our point of view, we see a bike momentum in Paris and in the Paris region, so we see many companies try to invest in the field. Micro-mobility is booming. We discussed that maybe with you, Guillaume, but and again, Karen, you mentioned the surge of bike sharing and then the e-scooters, and Paris was like the first to react and to regulate and to test some new things, and we had like more 15 operators, and we had 3 operators for e-scooters, so things are going up, and we see also a big momentum for micro-mobility in the Paris region. And the last point I wanted to mention is that we try to develop flexible working hours systems. Maybe the most sustainable trip is the one that you don't do actually. So home office is much more important after the COVID situation. So we also encourage Parisian and citizens of the Paris region to do some more home working for those who can, and for accept flexible working system to have a better mobility. So I won't be too long. So again, happy to jump on the panel session. So thank you, Nina, and thank you, Guillaume, again for accepting the invitation. I wanted to start with you, Nina. So you are the Chief Marketing Officer. Sorry.
Thank you.
Chief Marketing Officer of BlackCar. First, when I heard that Matthias and your colleague, I say BlackCar is a German company, but half of the name is French and half of the name is English. So I say, okay, but perhaps you can tell us what you're doing at BlackCar.
Yeah, it's true. It wasn't my idea, but it's half English, half French. It has certain difficulties when it comes to radio, for example, because in Germany nobody knows how to write it, so really amazing for marketing purposes. But no, we do car subscription, and we are one of the only ones who does it asset light, which means we're not building them, we do not have the fleets, but we enable the dealers to bring their cars into car subscription and offer an extremely flexible mobility opportunity to our customers. We've started like 2.5 years ago now with like Finn and Clune and us. We're always the three in the same pot, let's put it that way. But the main difference is that we're asset light. So we don't own the fleet and we don't build cars for subscription. And talking about sustainability, having used cars in the system, having cars which are already built is definitely better than bringing in more cars on the street. And maybe one point to add, quite like that you started with these facts, but you didn't steal my facts. There was a little word in between. We are looking at France, and we are going to expand to France this summer, and we're starting in the region of Paris. And one reason, today we're talking a lot about sustainability, is that there's 15 million kilometers are driven every day in the region of Paris from cars. Yeah, so if you think of 50 million, that's a huge number already, and 20% of that, which is 3 million, are used to look for a parking spot. And if you now think carbon dioxide pollution situations, this is clearly not the right approach, and we're offering car subscription, but we have worked on a system where we combine car subscription with car sharing, and this is precisely how we enter the French market. We call it BlackCar One, so that if you have a car with your neighbor, for example, you use it together in subscription, but it's a sharing between a small group of people or families. And if we would only make 1% of the people drive less and share cars, this would be like 330 football fields of more space in the city, because besides the driven kilometers, the cars who stand around anywhere and everywhere where it could be a livable area where we could use this space much better is a huge problem in Paris as well. And this is where we come in.
And Nina, just another question. In which cities are you active in Germany?
In Germany, we're everywhere. Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So yeah, there's no with BlackCar, not with BlackCar One. With the sharing meets subscription model, we start in Paris as the first city, and the main reason is because the city yells the loudest for a solution, which your facts already showed us.
Thank you, Nina. Guillaume, you're the French guy in Berlin.
Yes, I am.
So you're working for Swoby. The same question, can you give us more details on this German startup companies and on the new entrants in the micro-mobility, more on the infrastructure side, please?
So yes, indeed, we are a swappable infrastructure for light electric vehicles. We try to offer swappable batteries and an infrastructure to charge swappable batteries. Especially for logisticians and sharing operators, we try to work together to deploy a network of battery swapping stations. We are mostly within Germany, but we are looking actually for all big European cities. And our clients are, yes, logisticians, sharing operators, and like in the title, we try to make it more cleaner and efficient. So that's a bit the purpose and the vision of Swoop.
Thank you, Guillaume. So can you give us more detail on the, for instance, the cleaner, sustainable, how your system is more, give us more sustainability for mobility providers in Germany and for in short term in France soon?
So I think you had enough information about sharing, so I'll give more soul appetizer about last mile delivery. So for this point we try to work more with logisticians and with e-cargo bikes, and the idea is how can we improve with micro hubs and decentralized sharing points for this vehicle. How can it work? And it means that we put many players together, like battery manufacturer, vehicle manufacturers, clients, cities, etc. We have all to work together and make it compatible. So, and for this we have like a showroom, a big showroom in Berlin here. We have now, I think, more than 30 stations within the city, and all in Europe we have more than 50 stations all together. And we have finished a round of investigation in January, and now we have tools, money tools, to make a launch in other countries. So on demand, we expect maybe to make a launch in France, especially in Paris this year. And without clear demand, we'll go by our own ways for next year. And we have a specific focus in Paris because more and more streets are now closed to vans. It makes sense for cargo bikes to deploy themselves, and we can see also in France, with a bit delay compared to Germany, the ecosystem of cargo bikes is blooming. You have more and more players, and you see also more appetite for last mile delivery, not just in Paris, in Grenoble, all cities in France are looking for this. But the biggest challenge is of course in Paris. So we have research clients there, and we want to support them.
Thank you, Guillaume. Maybe a bit tricky question for both of you, but you are talking and discussing with public authorities. You mentioned the cities and also you, Guillaume. What advice would you recommend to startups or to new entrants in the car sharing or in the micromobility to get better results at discussing with public authorities?
Well, what we do is we never go alone in the market, but we look for the ecosystem first, how to make it work. So with Paris we work very collaboratively with the city, but we have a big dealer group, Groupe Marie, who are our partners. So wherever we go, it's very hard to conquer a market when it's just you, and it's very hard when there's not yet the knowledge there, and you need a lot of money for branding and brand awareness and just to make it work, because it's quite complicated. And so this is, I think, the main point, which I would add is first think smart, how to make it work in a pragmatic way that we quickly can make a difference, and then move from there.
Actually, I completely follow your point. For last mile logistic or for sharing, I see the same thematic. It's a new ecosystem, and everyone is trying to make it viable, economically, operational, etc. And if you try to play alone and to do everything by yourself, you have very suddenly huge amount of burdens that you cannot solve by yourself. And I completely follow your point. Don't make it alone. Try to work with people who are already there. If you want to go in Paris, you choose Paris. But you also need players, partners for other activities, so you can focus on your main activities. That would be also my advice.
Thank you for answering the tricky question there. So we had discussion this morning with the city of Berlin and the Choose Paris region for advice to companies, but I really wanted to have you on board because you are business started companies, and maybe for both of you, what would be how do you see Berlin and Paris, and maybe the same or the advantage, or not the advantage, but how do you compare the two cities, and in terms of business or mobility? Again, if you have any recommendation for companies that are looking for either Berlin, if they are Parisian, or Paris, if they are coming from Berlin. And especially for you, Guillaume, and if you also have some cultural aspect for doing business with the French.
In my point of view, in Berlin, it's a bit easier, and you can grow faster on the market. It's more like a Far West with less regulation. So it's an easy start, I would like to say. Nothing is easy, but relatively easier. And compared to Paris, it's much more difficult, it's more regulated with player, established company, and even for new ideas, it's very fast regulated. But on the other side, the potential is just incomparably bigger. So you have to do both. For one, you need more patience, but the goals are bigger. And for Berlin, you have the possibility to try and fail and try again.
We're not yet at the point that we can say so much about how the market launch actually happened, but we can clearly say that we have huge respect because it's France and it's Paris. So we have seen with our market launches to Austria and Switzerland that you better have a team there who knows the culture, who knows everything how it works, so that everything we do is according to not just how well educated the market is already, because this is very different in each market and even within the countries, but what's really the culture. And I'm now not talking about French parking or anything, I'm really talking about having an understanding on how to communicate, how to make things work, and how much effort would people be wanted, to change their life habits. And this is one thing, what we realized, for example, in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, when we talk about more efficient mobility, the first thought, if you think of car subscription, is like, well, why would this be more sustainable? Because it's leasing but shorter, But what we see is that a huge amount of our customers try hybrids, they try electric, and if you know you can terminate within 3 months, the risk is much higher, the risk is much lower to actually try new sustainable mobility solutions. And this, I think, is, for example, one really huge benefit, because you will not know over a weekend whether you can really charge in your infrastructure, but if you try for 3 months, you know much better whether you're capable of doing it.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Nina. Thank you. Again, we are super happy that you look into the Paris region, and because we need more companies like yours to achieve our public goals. So I promise to be short. So I know that there are some some space for question on the audience. For Nina, for Guillaume, for the presentation I gave earlier. Florian.
All hungry.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, thank you. But yeah.
So I can do it without mic.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the insights. Again, my name is Juliana, Growth Masters. So I have a question, I guess, to Guillaume. So you mentioned value proposition that is created from your side for the logistic companies. And last year, at least our company, Craftmasters, has been involved into the project called AI for Cities, where Paris played really one of the key roles. And the rhetorics over there were that Paris City would like to close the city center for the cars completely, and then the question would be how should city proceed with the daily operations like logistics, last mile deliveries and similar things. And I think in that respect, your technology could be part of the holistic solution. But I would love to know your vision on that point. So how would you advise the city, same as the city of Berlin, to proceed with those last mile and logistics operations in the inner city districts when we want to get rid of really heavyweight cars? Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I think that I did well understand your question. I would actually begin with an example of Berlin, with a former project whose name is Komodo. The idea was that the city put strategic area at disposition for all 5 biggest logisticians in the city. And on these micro hubs, the logisticians engage themselves to use only carbon-free vehicles, like cargo bikes or e-vans. And we, Swoby, we put the charging infrastructure for swappable vehicles. That was one point. But the logistician could then, they are really, it was one specific point, it was excavation, public parcels, and you have no access on this area without the help of cities. And here it was a pilot project, was not being renewed, but the idea is city can help by providing strategic parcels within the city. So you have outside of the city, you have biggest hubs with big logistic hubs, but you need to go into the city for the last mile delivery. And for this you need really, the city can offer areas, the logisticians need to engage themselves. It was without regulation, and you also need to make sure on operational levels that all vehicles are compatible together. Just a stupid point, but for example, you have a parking or wherever, but the vehicle has to be not too big, so you can drive inside of this. It's begin by such a small details are very important actually for the operation. And when we deploy yourself, we do a scouting every time. For example, can a cargo bike go through without registering himself on the parking? We check every point for clients, sharer and logisticians. So, and we are one provider among others, but I think there are more and more startups working on these operational aspects, so that the biggest client don't need to think about it, but just to use it. And after this, you can do operation, reduce your cost, etc., make it a win-win situation.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
So thank you again. Thank you, Nina. Pleasure. Thank you, Guillaume. And let's go to lunch.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, applause. Yes, exactly that, folks. So, time for a lunch break, which will again be in the hangar, the room next door, and we'll see you back here for 2 p.m., maybe just before, so we can start. Okay, enjoy your lunch.